Mr. Jamie, Mr. Mukari, I think it would be wise for us just to place on record the contents of Exhibit C.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
In response to the request that I extended to the legal teams on both sides, they met yesterday and they've come to an agreement which has been recorded in a document, Exhibit C, a letter by Worksmans, dated the 3rd of May 2016. In this agreement, they indeed narrowed the issues in order to curtail the proceedings before this board. Both teams are to be commended for their industriousness and willingness to cooperate in this regard, and the board wishes to extend its gratitude to them. The nature of the agreement is recorded as following. The parties confirm that the evidence of witnesses who testified at the Farnham Commission is accepted as evidence before the Board of Inquiry, save insofar as pertinently challenged by contrary evidence. In relation to Bundle B, which was submitted by the evidence leaders today, 3rd of May 2016, that was yesterday, during the first sitting of the Board of Inquiry, which identifies 14 potential witnesses, the parties agreed that such statements made by the witnesses identified in paragraph 3.3 below shall stand as evidence before the Board of Inquiry, and therefore obviating the need to call the witnesses to testify. The witnesses need not have been called to testify at the Farnham Commission. However, their statements must have been made under oath. Now I read from paragraph 3.3. The witnesses affected by the agreement are Captain Moelman, including her notes handed in at the Farnham Commission as Exhibit J168, Colonel Madoda, Colonel Claassen, Mr. Simon Laka, Mr. Pilani Tladiane, Josephine Pietsing Ngake, General Mawela, and General Basson. With regard to the statements of Captain Ntlati, the evidence leaders have reserved the right to call him to testify before the Board of Inquiry. The evidence leaders undertook to revert to the legal team of the National Commissioner by this morning on whether they will proceed to call Captain Ntlati as a witness or not. Finally, in regard to Captain Adriao and Brigadier Mashigo, who did not make statements under oath, the evidence leaders undertook to obtain their commission statements, and the defence will then decide whether the statements should be permitted without the witness being called. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your cooperation, and that having been read into the record, I think we can now commence.
Thank you, Judge. We have one female on our team. Judge, members of the board, thank you. That is Exhibit C, and it was also agreed this morning that the record referred to in that agreement would be Exhibit D, I think.
Exhibit D. D for Delta.
D for Delta. And I think it was also agreed that no further formal steps need to be taken to have that recorded in its entirety placed before you as evidence.
Correct.
As if those witnesses had testified before you. And that is our understanding of the position.
You agree, Mr. Mukari?
Yes, I agree. That is the agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, the witnesses would have been called but for the agreement, and in particular, and they are to be commended for having come here, and in the case of Mr. Laka, I think came here last night already and has stayed over. So they are present, and I'll ask you to then formally excuse them, because they are here under subpoena.
All right.
They are Mr. Simon Laka, Mr. Pelani Tladanyani, Ms. Josephine Nake, and Lieutenant General Elias Mawela. All of them are here.
Can I just repeat that? It's the first one is Mr. Simon Laka,
That's correct.
and then Mr. Pilani Tladjani.
Yes.
Is he going to come tomorrow once an interpreter has been obtained, or is that not necessary?
No, Judge. In light of the agreement, it's no longer necessary
Okay.
because his evidence is accepted.
And Ms. Josephine Ngake,
She's here as well.
and she can be excused as well.
All four of these witnesses, and Lieutenant General Mawela.
General Mawela.
Yes, number 11 point.
All right. Can we just have them stand up so we can see where they are? Mr. Simon Laka and Mr. Pilani Tladjani and Ms. Josephine Ngake
I don't see Mr. Laka, Judge.
and General Mawela. Okay. Thank you. You're excused. You are no longer required to attend this inquiry, but you can stay if you want to, if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, the next housekeeping issue is you will find before you, each of you, the affidavit of Brigadier, well, he's no longer Brigadier, he's left the police, Mr. Lindela Mashifu,
Yes.
who is the witness referred to in Exhibit C.
Yes.
You'll recall yesterday it was indicated that we should procure the statement under oath. That's been done and it's been given to our colleagues, and as indicated in Exhibit C, they will in due course indicate their position vis-à-vis Mr. Mashifu.
You're not going to call him today, now.
We're not going to call him today, Judge. We have him under subpoena for tomorrow, and we are ready and willing and available to call him tomorrow at 10 o'clock. But our colleagues have indicated they may want to defer that. So we as evidence leaders have no difficulty, subject to the board, of course, allowing them a reasonable opportunity to prepare to cross-examine if they so wish.
Yes.
Brigadier Mashifu, but our position is that if they elect to accept his evidence, it will be done on the same basis as the other witnesses referred to in Exhibit C.
All right. We decided in conference this morning that the entire record of the Farnham Commission will be regarded as Exhibit D for Delta.
That's correct.
So we'll then mark this as Exhibit E.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then, members of the board, we call Captain Monobisi Joseph Ntlati as our first witness. Mr. Ntlati has elected to testify through an interpreter, Judge.
Can we just have the name of the interpreter on record, please? Are you an official interpreter?
Yes.
I see. From what language to what language?
The witness will testify in IsiXhosa correction.
And English and
Into
vice versa.
English.
Thank you very much. Could you swear in the witness, please?
Hlekazwa. Ingaba unaso isiqiniseko sokuthi ungakwazi ukufunga. Siyafunga ke ukuthi uzothetha inyaniso yonke, inyaniso epheleleyo. Ngicela ke uphinde ke ukuthi Nkosi incede ngithethe inyaniso. Witness is sworn in, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter.
Where's my book? Looks like that. My book. Mr. Beloy, Mr. Bull. I seem to see my notebook that looks like this. Is it still in the office? Mr. Jamie, where is this witness's statement?
It's
in
the
bundle?
first statement in the witness bundle, Judge, is at pages 1 to 6.
Mr. Lati.
Yes.
Yes, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Lati. Good morning.
Good morning, Advocate.
Mr. Ntladi, could you tell the board what your present rank and position in the police is?
Okwangokumhlekazi irank yakho oyiphetheyo ngeyiphi?
Ndiseyi-captain emapoliseni, ndisebenza eKhuma njenge-Vespol commander.
I am still holding a position of a captain. I am working in Kuma at Vespol as a Vespol commander.
Can you just spell Kuma, please?
Khuma
Kuma is Khuma.
Could you just explain to the board what does Vispol mean?
I-Vespol le icho ukuthini ke mhlekazi?
Visible policing.
It means visible policing.
Thank you. Now, Captain Ntlati, in 2012, August, you were at Marikana, at the Lonmin mine, is that correct?
Ngo-2012 mhlekazi ngenyanga ka-August ubuphaya eMarikana kwe-Lon mine kunjalo.
Kunjalo.
That's indeed so.
Could you tell the board what was your unit, or which unit were you attached to at that point?
Ubusebenzela kweyiphi ke i-unit ke ngelo xesha mhlekazi?
Tactical response team, TRT.
I was working with the tactical response team, which abbreviates to TRT.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Tactical response team, which abbreviates to TRT.
The abbreviation is TRT, is that correct?
Yes.
The abbreviation of TRT, that's indeed so.
And yes. Could you just perhaps explain that unit? Is that an ordinary unit of the police, or is it a special unit?
I-unit le ubusebenzela kuyo mhlekazi, unit yamapolisa okanye ethile ekhethekileyo.
Unit ekhethekileyo emapoliseni.
It's a special unit under police.
And can you very briefly tell the board what would TRT unit, what sort of situations would it normally deal with?
Ungangena ke nzulu kancinci ukuzicacisela mhlekazi ukuthi i-TRT umsebenzi wayo kanye kanye kukwenza ntoni?
I-TRT ngamapolisa abancedisa amapolisa anormal nabo xa kukho into ezithile bangakwazi ukuzenza.
TRT is a unit that will be assisting normal police official with doing other duties that they cannot be in a position to do. And it also forms part of the policing.
What sort of special duties that the normal police can't do? Can you give us an example?
Imisebenzi ke le ekhethekileyo amanye amapolisa angakwazi ukuyenza ngeyiphi ke ungacacisa?
Kuna mhlawumbi kukho i-situation enjengoba kukho i-robbery abangakwazi ukwenza sithi noko abantu abake bafike sincedise kuzo.
It will be in the cases of robberies wherein they will not be in a position to assist, then we will step in.
Ne-gangsters, akukho ii-gangsters nazo siyangena kuzo abantu bephethe izikhali.
And the cases where that involves a gangsterism and people will be using weapons.
And just a last question on this introductory part. Does the TRT as a unit have the same uniforms and weapons as ordinary police?
Ingaba i-TRT le inezikhali okanye izidubula njengamapolisa aqhelekileyo ne-uniform banxiba i-uniform efana neyamapolisa amanye?
I-uniform yamapolisa qha nje umehluko banxiba ibhareyi. Kodwa ke imipu esisebenzisayo iyafana namanye amapolisa asebenzisayo.
Ninxiba ntoni ke? Ibizwa ntoni? Okay. It is the ordinary police. It's a ordinary police uniform. The difference is that we put on the head a beret and another.
Imipu esiyiphathayo
Okay.
iyafana neyeminye eyamanye amapolisa bane-training kuyo.
And we also possess the same firearms that will be possessed by the ordinary policing. And we are to the same training.
So there was video evidence before the Parliament Commission that shows a number of police on the scene wearing berets. And is that a distinction between TRT and ordinary police?
Ku video ke mhlekazi kunalapho kubonisa amapolisa amanye efake ke ezo beret eso. Ingaba ngamapolisa aqhelekileyo okanye is the same policing or the ordinary policing?
If I understand him, that's a distinction between them and the ordinary people.
Umehluko phakathi kwenu kukuthi ninani ethwala iberet.
Ngawo lo mapolisa befike.
That will be indeed so.
Thank you. Now, Captain, you've said you were at Marikana. We know the shooting incident happened on the 16th of August. Were you there on that day?
Ngoba ke wena mhlekazi uthi ubukhona phaya kulaa ndawo yaseMarikana. Ukudubula ke kwenzeke ngomhla ka-16 August. Ingaba wawukhona xa kwenzeka isehlakalo esenje?
Bendikhona.
I was present indeed.
When did you first arrive at Marikana?
Kanye ufike nini phaya eMarikana?
Ndifike nge-14th August 2012.
My date of arrival was the 14th of August in 2012.
Okay, now, could you look at your statement, please? The second paragraph thereof.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to hand this in as an exhibit as well?
Yes, Judge.
F, Exhibit F.
Could I just point out, Judge, that there is also a typed version of the document, which is at pages 4 to 6. Do you want to make that part of F, or F1, F2?
Yes, well, the writing will be F1 and then the typed version will be F2.
Sorry, Judge. Do we mark the statements which are already in the B? Because I see that it is already part of Exhibit B, which has been entered already. And Exhibit B it is numbered.
Yes.
I think we should just stick to B, otherwise we may have a lot of, I don't know.
Do you agree with that?
I'm happy with that, Judge.
Well, then we'll just keep it as part of Exhibit B. Thank you for reminding us, Mr. McQuarrie.
Thank you, Judge. Captain Clarke, could you look at the second paragraph, please, of your statement?
Siyacela ke mhlekazi ungafunda iparagraph esiyibini kwi-statement esisakho nansi ke iyakhomba apha.
On Thursday, the 16th of August 2012, at about 6 o'clock, I was officially on duty at Marikana Lonmin Mine. I attended the meeting at the jog
Can you just stop there, please? What is the JOC? What does that stand for?
Melentoni ke abbreviation le ethi JOC.
Joint Operational Center,
And where was the JOC?
Ibiphi ke yona le JOC.
Biselonmin.
It was in Lonmin mine,
At the mine.
at the mine.
Okay, carry on, please.
Ngaqhubeka.
Captain Tupe, Captain Lust, and myself were tasked with the members of Northwest Tactical Response Team, TRT, to stay in our vehicles 100 meters away from the negotiations and POP members.
I think it's negotiators, is it?
No, I think it's...
Is it negotiations or negotiators?
Sorry, before we answer that question, can I just ask you, Mr. Captain, who wrote the statement? In whose handwriting is this statement?
I statement eso sibhalwe ngubani ngesandla sikabani?
A statement esibhalwe ndim ngesandla sam.
It was written by, induced in writing by myself.
You wrote the statement.
Nguwe osibhale ngokwakho.
Ndim osibhalileyo.
It is induced in writing by myself.
Okay, now the judge has just asked you what is the word in that line. It says away from thee, and then you've written something. Is it negotiators or negotiations?
Ndibona apha ndibhale khona negotiators, which is correct.
Is that what you've written, negotiators?
Negotiators ngesandla sam.
The witness paged on the statement that he induced in writing with his own hand, and it is written negotiators.
So the judge is
There
correct.
to be a typing error on the typed statement.
So, members of the board, the typed version has an error. It should be negotiators, not, and I think the captain was reading from the typed version, not negotiations. So, okay, carry on, Captain. Away from the negotiators.
Kube nephutha ke wena ubuthetha nge-negotiators, hayi i-negotiations.
Away from the negotiators and
Ingaba kunjalo.
kunjalo.
That's correct.
Carry on.
Ngaqhubeka ke.
Away from the negotiators and POP members in the
What is the POP stand for?
Ungachaza i-POP itsho ntoni ke?
POP icela Public Order Policing.
The public order policing. They
Public
call.
order policing.
Sorry?
Public order policing.
Public order policing. So you took up position with other TRT members 100 meters away from the negotiators and the POP members. Carry on.
Ngaqhubeka ke.
In the Nyalas to give protection.
What are Nialas?
As members.
Sorry? What are Nialas?
Intoni inyala?
Niala.
Inyalo zimoto ezisetshenziswayo xa kukho into ezinjenge strikes, imoto ezinkulu ezisetshenziswa zamapolisa.
Inyala are the vehicles that will be used especially when there will be strikes. They are big vehicles.
They are armored vehicles, is that correct?
I beg you?
They are armored vehicles.
Zimoto ezinkulu ezisetshenziswa ngamajoni. That's indeed so.
Do they carry personnel?
Kunabantu ngaphakathi kwezonyala zithatha abantu, zithutha abantu.
I-negotiators nezinye ii-members ze-POP bezipha ngaphakathi.
The-negotiators ne-members the-POP. Yes, my lord, there were members of POP and the negotiators inside the Nyala.
Can you? Okay. And then just continue with that paragraph, please.
I went and briefed the members, and we all departed to the Wonderkoppie and took up positions.
Now you're talking, this is on the 16th, the morning of the 16th.
Zonke izinto zenzeke ngomhla we-16 kunjalo.
Kunjalo.
That's indeed so.
And can I just ask you one other thing before we leave this paragraph? You say that your task was to give protection. To whom were you giving protection?
Uthi kwi-task kwi-team yakho beninikeza ukhuselo, beninikeza bani ke ukhuselo?
Besinikeza i-negotiators ne-members the OPS public order policing.
We were protecting the negotiators and the POP members that will be public order policing.
So you were protecting other police people, personnel.
Okusho ukuthi benikhusela amanye amapolisa.
Ewe ibiyinto yoba kukho into sikwazi sibe khona sikwazi sincedise.
Yes, in case there would be something that will erupt, we should be there to step in.
Okay, can you go to paragraph 3, the next paragraph, and read that, please?
Ungaqhubeka ngeparagraph yesithathu ke mhlekazi.
We arrived at about 07:30 and stayed in the vehicles to allow the negotiators to engage with the leaders of the strikers who were at the copy. The group of strikers was about 3,000 and were armed with dangerous weapons.
Can you just stop there, please? Was this the first time that something like this had happened?
Ibiqala ukwenzeka into efana nale mhlekazi.
Ndiqonda umbuzo wakhe kakuhle uba uthi yayiqala ebomini bam okanye kuloo mini na.
Can the question be elaborated? Are you referring to the same day of the incident or in my experience?
In your experience at Marikana?
Kumava wakho phaya eMarikana.
Okoko sifikile besisenza le nto usuka nge-12.
Since my arrival, we have been doing this since from the 12th.
Ukuba i-negotiators bezizama ukuthethisana nabantu.
Because the negotiators were trying to engage and negotiate with these other people.
Okay, would you carry on with your statement, please?
At about 14:30, I received a message from Brigadier Khalid that all commanders must report at Forward Holding Area 1. We were briefed.
Could you just stop there, please? Firstly, who's Brigadier Khalid? What was his position there?
Yena uBrigadier Khalid, umsebenzi wakhe ibiyintoni apho?
Brigadier Khalid head Northwest ORS.
Brigadier Khalid is the head of Northwest
ORS, Operational
ORS,
Response Services.
which is Operational Response Services.
And what is that? What is Operational Response Services?
Intoni ke le Operational Response Service mhlekazi?
Operational Response Services, i-unit eyifakelele zonke ii-units ezinjengo Public Order Policing or TRT kwezinye provinces ne-National LIU. No.
National?
No, zizwe esithetha ngazo.
National or POP in a TRT. Okay. This ORS is the head or the umbrella under which we find POP and TRT.
I think the witness referred to another unit, NIU, and you began saying national, but you're not sure of the rest of it. Is that correct? NIU.
NIU. Ewe ndithethile ngayo but asinayo ku Northwest, that's why ndiye ndayirhoxisa, but nayo iyawela kwi ORS nationally.
NIU is not under the Northwest umbrella. We don't have it under Northwest umbrella, but it also forms part of the national
ORS.
ORS.
National.
The ORS in the national.
And NIU stands for National Intervention Unit.
Intervention Unit, Gele. That will be indeed so.
So we have POP, TRT, NIU, and they all fall under ORS. Is that correct?
Lao amakumpu TRT, POP, NIU, Pansquare, le ORS. And that will be indeed so.
Okay, now carry on with your statement, please.
Ngaqhubeka ke kwi-statement sakho.
We were briefed by Lieutenant Colonel Scott in the presence of Brigadier Pretorius. During the briefing, we were informed that the national management instructed that the police must act against the armed strikers as they have to be disarmed and dispersed. The POP were to disperse the strikers and TRT will encircle the small groups and disarm them, that is the strikers.
Okay, now, firstly, who is Lieutenant Colonel Scott?
Lieutenant Scott.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott usebenza task force.
Lieutenant Scott, Colonel Scott work under
Task force.
Task force.
He was a member of the task force.
Task force kunjalo.
A member of the task force.
He is indeed a member of the task force.
And who's Brigadier Pretorius?
Brigadier Pretorius yena ungubani ke?
Usebenza province in Northwest.
He is in the okay. Province
Usebenza province in Northwest.
She is working at the province in the Northwest.
Okay, now, you've written here, during the briefing we were informed that the national management instructed that the police must act against the armed strikers as they have to be disarmed and dispersed. Is that correct?
Ubhale apha ukuthi i-national management yakhupha umyalelo ukuthi abaqhankqalazi mabathathelwe izixhobo bachaphalaliswe kungaba kunjalo baphasalaliswe.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott uyawasixelela uba i-national management itsho.
We were informed by Lieutenant Colonel Scott that it is what national management has instructed.
Now, you said earlier that you wrote this yourself, the statement.
This statement is utisibhalwe nguwe ngekwakho kunjalo. That's indeed so.
And we know from the date of the statement, it's 30 August, which is some 2 weeks after Marikana, the incident.
Ngokuya ngestatement sibhalwe nge-30 August iveki ezimbili emva kwesihlakalo saseMarikana kunjalo. That's indeed so.
The words national management, who said those words?
Amazwi la okanye amagama athi national management asetyenziswe ngubani?
Asetyenziswe ngu-Lieutenant Colonel Scott.
They were used by Lieutenant Colonel Scott.
Now, you say this happened during a briefing, is that correct, in forward holding area 1?
Uthethe la magama phaya kwi-briefing area holding area 1 kunjalo. That's indeed so.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about that briefing? We know it happened in forward holding area 1. Was it in a building? Where did the briefing take place?
Siyazi ukuthi kube ne-briefing. Ungachaza ke ibibi kwephi indawo endlini estradweni okanye phi?
I-briefing ibikwindawo evulekileyo.
It was held in an open area.
sasize ngemoto kwasetyenziswa ivito elisisebenzisa.
But there were vehicles around there. We were using a veto
So, do I understand it was in the open air?
area.
Open area. It wasn't in a building.
It was not in the building, it was in an open area.
Okay.
Where was Colonel Scott during the briefing?
Lieutenant Colonel Scott.
Colonel Scott ongaphakathi kwivito.
He was inside the veto.
He was inside the Vito. Now, you referred to the Vito earlier. Vito is a vehicle, is that correct?
Ivito le uthetha ngayo inqwelo kunjalo.
Inqwelo ye-Mercedes Benz.
Yes, it's a Mercedes Benz.
It's a Mercedes-Benz combi, isn't it? It's called in Vito, is that right?
Combi ye Mercedes Benz kunjalo. That's indeed so.
It's a combi. And just explain to the board members, how do the doors on this combi work? Where are the doors and how do they work?
Khawuchaze ke iminyango yale Vito ikombi le isebenza njani?
Iminyango ephambili ivuleka normally njengezinye imoto. Then le isemva left and right ziyaslide ziya emva uzivulayo uzivulayo ziyaphambili.
The two doors in the front will be open sideways, just like any ordinary car. But the doors at the back, the one on the sides, they will be slided towards the back.
Does it have two sliding doors, each on one side of the vehicle?
Iminyango ingaba ivulwa ngapha nangapha sliding.
Kunjalo.
That's indeed so, my lord.
And during the briefing, were the doors open or closed? Were the doors open or closed?
Ngeli xesha ke ni briefwayo iminyango le ivuliwe okanye ivaliwe eyale kombi.
Iminyango ivuliwe.
The doors were opened.
And where was Colonel Scott?
Uphi Colonel Scott.
Colonel Scott ungaphakathi emotweni.
He was inside this vehicle at the back.
Where the doors were open?
Kula minyango yesliding evulelwa ngemva.
Kunjalo.
That's indeed so.
And how many other policemen or police personnel were at this briefing? Was it just you, or was there more? You don't have to give me the number, but was there more than just you? There were other police there.
Ebekhona amanye amapolisa okanye yayinguwe xa kule briefing.
Njengokuba nditshilo ba ubrigadier Khalid bethe i-commanders zonke bingendim ndodwa.
As I already alluded to the fact that Brigadier was briefing all the commanders, I was not Khalid. A point of correction.
Brigadier Khalid ubize zonke
Commanders, yes.
So ibingendim ndodwa.
Brigadier Khalid called all the commanders, so I was not the only police or commander who was present.
So all the commanders were there. You were being briefed by Lieutenant Colonel Scott. Where were the commanders? Inside the veto or outside the veto?
Ezinye ke i-commanders ziphi ngelo xesha phakathi ezimotweni okanye phi?
Mna nabanye singaphakathi abanye bebephandle.
Myself and the others, we were inside inside the vehicles, whilst the others were outside.
So you were actually inside the vehicle?
Wena ungaphakathi enqweleni.
Mna bendingaphakathi.
I was inside the vehicle.
Now, when Colonel Scott used the term, the national management instructed that the police must act, who did you understand he was referring to?
Xa esithi ke uColonel Scott i-national management ithi mani acte. Ubuvisisa ntoni ntoni le uyiqonda malunga nalokho? Miyalelo.
Uba esithi abaphathi bezolonke emapoliseni ngabo bathi makuactwe.
I understood to be all the managers of the policing are the one who are instructing that there should be an action taken.
You say all the management. Who would that include?
Ke abaphathi kufake bani ngaphakathi.
Izaba zi-generals. Ke xa zingekhoyo kuya ngokohlukana njalo uba bashiyashiyana njalo omnye xa ekhona omnye uzawumela omnye.
I understood it to be the generals, and in their absence, those who will be in charge respectively.
When police talk about national management, who are they normally referring to?
Xa amapolisa ethetha nge-national management, sube bethetha ngobani?
Bathetha ngee-national commissioners, divisional commissioners.
National commissioners and
Divisional commissioners.
divisional commissioners.
And national, is it correct that national you would understand to mean, would not, or let me ask you a non-leading question, would national management include the police in Northwest?
I-national management ingabe izabe ifakele amapolisa phaya e-Northwest cha njenge-province.
Olwazi lwam ayayisibafakelela.
No, it will not be referring to Northwest.
Thank you. Now, Mr. We don't need this for him. Okay. I just want to put to you something, because you were not called as a witness at Marikana, is that correct? I mean, at the Farnham Commission.
Kwi-commission Paul ubungabizwanga njengengqina kunjalo.
Kunjani?
That's indeed so.
And perhaps before I go there, can I just ask you, I should have asked you this at the beginning, my apologies. How did it come about that you made your statement, the statement that you've been referring to?
Kuzenjani ke wena ugqibele sewubhalise ke esi statement esunzusifuna?
This is a Potchefstroom. Kwi-routes. Indawo ebizwa nge-routes.
We were at Potchefstroom in a certain place called the Roots.
Xa besiyalelwa uba funeka sinikele nge-statement ezesehlo se-16 zika-August 2012.
Well, we were informed that we need to hand over the statements about the incident that occurred on the 16th of August 2012.
And when you say, thank you, when you say you were at a place called Roots, can you just explain what was going on at Roots?
Bekwenzeka ntoni phaya at the Roots?
Bekucompilwa iripoto eyesehlo saseMarikana.
A report with regards to the incident of Marikana was compiled there.
Bahun.
Bani ke ebeyenza le report?
Bizi-commanders zonke beziphaya.
PA.
BeziseMarikana.
By all the commanders who were at Marikana.
Does that include you?
Kufake ngaphakathi nawe mhlekazi.
Kunjani?
That's indeed so.
All right, you are with SABC News, your midday report coming to you slightly later today because of day 2 of that inquiry into the suspended National Police Commissioner Riah Phiyega, which is currently underway in Centurion. And what we're watching here is evidence leader Advocate Ishmael Jamie leading Captain Monwabisi Nklati in his evidence with the use of an interpreter. But we will, of course, bring you updates as this inquiry continues throughout the day. For now, let's take a look at some of your headlines. Starting in Limpopo, where residents have joined forces with police to prevent more schools from being burnt in Vuwani. And coming up in your business news, the rand is on the ropes as local and domestic factors weigh on the currency. And tens of thousands wait to be evacuated as wildfires burn in Canada. Residents in the Hlanganani area near Vuwani in Limpopo have been working with police to prevent arsonists from burning schools in their areas. Police have confirmed that a total of
385. And I'm sorry, Captain Ntlati, you don't have this before you, but I'm going to read it to you and explain to you what is said here.
Sorry, just give us a moment to go to the relevant document because you are referring to it for the first time. So we never thought that you're going to do that. So can you give us just a moment?
I'm sorry, your attorney took a copy of it, and
the one that we have is the first page is 14,387, and it goes up to 14,393.
no, that's,
But I think you are referring to earlier
you're
pages.
two pages or 3 pages out.
So you're referring to earlier pages to this.
I'm referring, the page I want to refer to begins at page, the page I'm going to refer to is page 14,386.
86, no, we don't have those earlier pages.
Sorry?
Yeah, we can make a copy of that. Yeah.
Can I proceed? And because I understand it would seem the cross-examination is going to stand over in any event.
Yes, it's fine. Yeah.
So can I just for as you please, Judge. Okay, Mr. Captain Ntlati, you've got the electronic version of the transcript in front of you, and you don't need to concern yourself too much with what is there, but perhaps just to enable our learned colleagues to follow. Colonel Scott, that you've referred to in your evidence, did testify at the Farnham Commission. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay, now, you were not present when he testified, or were you?
I was not present.
So you don't know what he said?
I do not have knowledge.
Okay. Now, just to explain what this question is about and what it's leading up to is Captain Scott was asked by one of the lawyers at the Farnham Commission, and that you found at page 14,386. And you don't necessarily have to look at it, just listen to the question. He was asked, was it conveyed to you on the 16th of August before you briefed the commanders at Forward Holding Area 1 at 2:30, which is the same briefing you've just referred to? Do you understand? Members, we found that at 14,386 at line 9.
Page 14,386, folding area 1, and get pressure every now 2:30 or 14:30.
So he was asked whether he knew about a decision taken at the National Management Forum of the SABC, let me just read the whole thing to you. The question that was put to him was it conveyed to you on the 16th, that's of August, before you briefed the commanders at Forward Holding Area 1 at 2:30, that the National Management Forum of the SABC had taken a decision that the strikers had to be disarmed? That is the question that was put to Colonel Scott.
Wabuzwa ke uKellenor Scott ukuthi ingama ubuyalelwe yi-national management ukuthi abantu ababandekanyekayo malunga noqhankqalazo baze baphucwe okanye bathathele izixhobo zabo.
Now, I'm not asking you to comment on that because you weren't there and you didn't hear his evidence.
Uthi ke wena ubungekho malunga na xa ikhupha ubungqina obu akafuna ukuthi uphawule.
But, and it then goes on, it's then put to him, do you recall any mention of national management, an instruction from national management of the SABC that the police must act against the armed strikers at the briefing at 14:30?
Umnye ke umbuzo aze wabuza ukuthi ingaba wafumana umyalezo ovela kwi-national management oyalela ukuthi abaqhankqalazi baphucwe okanye bathathelwe izixhobo baphasalaliswe.
So that's what's put here.
National management umbuzo lo.
And what I should have put to you before putting that to you is that in leading up to that question, the lawyer refers to your statement, which we've just read, and he does that at page 14385. He says, before he's going to ask the question, he must, in fairness to Lieutenant Scott, show him a warning statement that was signed by one of the commanders at the briefing, and then he refers to your statement and what you've just said. Okay?
Phambi kokuba ke ambuze umbuzo igqwetha libuze lo mbuzo lacela ke uLieutenant Scott limkhombisa ke kwi-page 14386 lithi makacaphule kwi-statement esithethwe ngomnye weekhomanda ethetha ke ngestatement esakho malunga nale mibuzo ebesekubuze yona phambili.
And then on page 14387, in answer to these questions and having read your statement, Colonel Scott says the following. And I just want to put to you what he says and then ask for your comment. He doesn't say he never said that. He says the following. No, and I say that because I wasn't even aware the National Management Forum had sat the previous day. All the decisions were made. I wasn't aware that there was a meeting of any sort on that Wednesday. So Colonel Scott says he didn't know about the National Management Forum meeting.
Yena ke xa ephendula ke kwi-page 14387 uthi hayi andinalo ulwazi lokuthi kuke kwaba nenhlangano ebekho ngolosi ethathu malunga ne-National Management Board.
Can you comment on what he says?
Ungakwazi ukuphawula kwinto ethethwe nguye uColonel Scott?
Andiyazi ba ethetha njani kodwa into ayithethileyo mna yile ayithethe apha ndithi uyithethile xa nesixelela ngile ndimve mna eyithetha.
I would not know how he testified, but I am only referring or relating to what I heard him saying in the briefing.
Thank you. Members of the board, those are our questions for the witness. Thank you.
So you are sure that General Scott referred to the National Management Forum during that briefing, is that correct?
Unesiqinisekiso sokuthi uColonel Scott wathetha nge-National Management Forum kulo briefing.
Colonel Scott azange athethe nge-station management okanye i-provincial management, uthethe nge-national management. Yiloo nto ndibhale national management, yinto endive eyithetha.
Colonel Scott never referred to any station management or provincial management. What I heard him say is national management. That's why I noted it down.
So you did not hear him use the word forum?
Amvanga esebenzisa igama elithi forum.
Okay, instruction in national management.
What he said is an instruction from national management. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Bukhari, do you wish to cross-examine now or not?
Judge, as I indicated earlier, because this is what we told this morning, that this witness will testify, would like to look at his evidence in conjunction with what was said already there. So, and we'll also would like to compile the statements which were made by other witnesses who were present during that briefing, and so that it can become a bundle that we can use for cross-examination purposes. So if we can stand down until tomorrow, then I should be able to cross-examine the witness at length. So then that is what I've already indicated in the morning. And regarding the outstanding issue about the affidavit of Mr. Mashieho, which was handed up this morning, we understand that we'll be awaiting also the affidavit from Adrio from France. So once we receive that, we'll be able to make a decision as to whether or not then they have to come. But in the event that we make a decision that he still has to come because maybe we'll want him to clarify one or two things, if needs be, then we're going to propose that maybe then he should not really come tomorrow, but he should rather maybe come on Friday or Monday, because he's referring in that statement which we have just handed in to some officials and so on who were there. So that may give us an opportunity then to collate then the relevant evidence in order to have an effective cross-examination, but to avoid having to come here for only a few maybe minutes and then from there we're adjourned. So it's better that he comes one day and we can deal with him and finish with him. But we'll give them a decision. We should be able to communicate to them our decision probably later today or tomorrow morning.
About Mashieho?
By Mashieho, yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Judge? It would seem to us it would be a total waste of everyone's time to adjourn, to convene tomorrow morning, just to be told that they are going to, because it seems our colleagues are not going to be in a position, we understand why, to cross-examine effectively Mashieho tomorrow. He is subpoenaed for tomorrow. And I suppose, but we are in communication with him, so. But upon reflection, it might be better, since he is subpoenaed, that he is present and you then direct him as to when he's going to come back.
Well, he's not here today. He's not here today, is that correct?
No, he was subpoenaed for tomorrow, Judge.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I have a suggestion. I don't know. Subject to what you said, Judge, because also I don't like a situation where we come for a few hours in a day, then we come back again. So if, it's fine with the evidence leaders that I carry on with the cross-examination of this witness at the same day that Mashieho will testify, so that we can finish also with Mashieho, because then the cross-examination, I don't expect of both of them to be long. Then we can then say that we are adjourning to a particular date where then I cross-examine this witness and then Mashieho testify, I cross-examine Mashieho, then we know we're finished with the evidence of those people. As I understand this to be the case of the evidence leaders after that.
when will you be in a position to tell us whether that suggestion will work?
Then insofar as Mashieho is concerned, we should be able to inform you, then because then there's a possibility of us not sitting tomorrow, then I should be able then to communicate to you today. Today, so that we know, yes. And then what I'll then propose is that just to give us maybe enough time to deal with both, the possibility of dealing with both witnesses, we can then adjourn for Monday. But of course, subject to then how you. I'm just looking at the practical way of dealing with it.
Sorry, if I may respond, Judge.
Yes.
When I suggested that, or made a suggestion about Mr. Mashefu, it slipped my mind that this witness is under, or will soon be under cross-examination. We would like this witness to be finished tomorrow, Judge. It's not fair to him or to, and first, it's not fair to the witness to be under cross for that long, and secondly, I doubt very much that we'll finish this witness and lead Mashefu and finish him all in one day. Mashefu will be a substantial witness. If he needs to be called, he will be a substantial witness, which will take most of the day.
All right.
So I would propose that we finish this witness as indicated. They stand down until tomorrow morning, finish this witness, and we deal with Mashefu based on what we are told by them during the course of today, what they want to do with Mashefu.
I think that would be the most effective solution, that we stand down till tomorrow. But during the day, if there are any changes of circumstances, then please relate it to Advocate Tsatsi, and she can then inform us whether we are still needed to come tomorrow or not. But otherwise, provisionally, we then adjourn this inquiry until tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Then we're fine with that.
Is that in order?
That's fine. That's
Thank you,
fine.
Judge. That's in order.
Thank you. We can then adjourn.